So you can only do 720p. It won't let you do high def even if your cameras and stuff allow it.
All right, it says we're live on here.
What's that?
It says we're live on this. So,
there's sort of a link somewhere in that you can send us.
Let's see.
Invite at the very bottom. There's an invite.
Oh yeah, right sign. Here. Okay. Copy.
Now, that's probably going to be just for us. I don't know what link we're going to have to post. That's the
okay, yeah, it shows that you're live on here, so I'll post this. This is the link that we'll post there.
All right.
Oh, so that YouTube link is good then?
Yeah, the YouTube, this
cool.
one is. Yeah,
oh, okay.
It's a new one.
Gotcha.
So you'll just go to the video on YouTube.
All right, Amy, I'm sending you this.
Dude, you guys are fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I will always respect y'all for being the first band to come on here for real. And help.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Have you figured it out?
And being patient about it, because most people would have been like, "Well, you can't figure it out. Fuck you."
No, we got you, bro. No, we got you. That's the type of shit I do for a living too. So I'm like, hey, if I can help out.
Hell yeah. By the way, I got it.
All right, I think that we're good. That we should be here with you now.
Nice.
Sure.
It says you'll have to add us to the stage. It says.
All right. You said add to the stage.
Yeah. So we're backstage right now on this. There should be an option for that.
All right. All right, here. There we go.
Cool. And then we're on, I guess, this camera right here. All right. Hopefully it's echoing too bad. Can you hear pretty good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
All right, it says we got 3 viewers. Don't know who they are, but
we're getting a little bit of. Let's see here.
I'm guessing it's the people from YouTube that we're pulling.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I gotta update the links.
Trying to make sure here that we're not getting too loud. I think I had both of them up on mine, so that I was getting a little bit of latency here. I think we are good. Everything sound good from us on your end?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Hold on, give me 1 second, and I'll go back to the other original YouTube link, and I'll post in the comments section if there's still people in there.
Yeah,
That we are.
I'll pull the actual YouTube link up as well.
That's what I'm doing too.
Okay, cool. Technology, am I right?
Oh, there we go. All right, we're live. Who is here? If you are here, please put a thumbs up in the chat and let us know you're in here, because we had some technical difficulties, but the boys figured it out.
Yeah, let us know if you're in here, and we're going through posting the links everywhere else and stuff too, trying to get you all updated on the new link here.
All right. Well, I think we're ready. If I'm ready, if you boys are ready.
Yeah, we're good to go.
All right. Let's make this full screen here. My video is probably a little blurry, but welcome to the show, my fellows. How are y'all today?
Good, man. How are you?
It.
Not too bad. I appreciate y'all helping me walk through everything.
Not a problem at all. Glad we can get it working.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you don't mind, introduce who you are. Tell me a little bit about yourselves.
You go first.
My name's Aiden Shaw. I'm the singer, screamer, vocalist, and poet the band. I also do a lot of our graphic design and music video and photography work, as well as a lot of the back end, responding to comments, making content, posting and stuff along with Kevin. I've been playing music for 15 years or so-ish, and Poet the Band has just been together for a little bit over 2 years now. And it's kind of my whole background is in music and film.
My name is Kevin Razlog. I am the drummer, the booking agent. I also handle a lot of the social media outreach. Same with Aiden. Dabble in some other stuff here and there, but like he takes care of a lot of the core functions when it comes to branding, stuff like that. I kind of have more of a managerial, I guess, responsibility. I've been playing drums for probably about 30 years, and I've been in bands for like the last 10, 15 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome, fellas. Well, if you don't mind, let's go over the newest EP you have here that I got. I really do appreciate y'all sending me this. And
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
my favorite song so far on here would be Weightless for sure. Aiden, you did a great job, dude, with the vocals on that. And all the lyrics on that one, in my opinion, are some of the best. Like that one, that song right there for me, it just hits home, you know. Like I went through a very bad toxic relationship, and that one right there just hits me. It's like, damn, right in your heart.
Well, I
like
appreciate that.
Yes, sir. It's like you're really feeling that energy with that song. Like everything was perfect about it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, that was a song that really this whole EP kind of came about, not at the end of a relationship, but really I was in a 7-8 year relationship where that healing process, you know, takes a lot of time. And I went through some of it in the music that we wrote on the first EP, but a lot of this stuff was kind of written a year and a half ago, right after the band had gotten really officially started. A lot of the first EP, we had wrote a good amount of it before we fully announced the band and stuff. So it kind of came out of that as I was really going through that healing process, but kind of finding my ground, you know, in that on the aftermath of the storm, so to speak.
Now, do you have a personal favorite song, either one of y'all, on the album?
I'll let you go first. What do you think?
That's tough. I like all the songs. I guess for me, playing live, like the Death Era EP, Like a Devil, was like my favorite song to play live.
Yeah.
I'd say on this one, Sin Eater is a lot of fun. I like how the drums were structured in that song. It's just genuinely like a fun song for me to play. Aside from that, I think Chains or As Above are probably the other two that when we're playing them live, it's just a lot of fun, and I really enjoy how they came out.
Right, and before I ever discovered you were actually the drummer, I saw that I posted a Poet in the Band, and I saw your little tutorials on you doing the drums, dude. You're a kick-ass drummer.
Thank you.
Well, both of y'all are very talented, and I see this band going very, very far.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I would say that probably my favorite is probably Sin Eater as well. That's lyrically, it's probably the favorite one I've written.
Right.
It was, I guess, it might have been the first song actually that we wrote off this EP. And I think, yeah, it was probably one of the darkest moments that I was in that, but I was able to, I feel like, turn that around into something more positive and get my feelings out in that way lyrically. And it's just such a fun one to play live too. It's vocally challenging in a few parts for sure.
Right.
But there's just something about, I think, the vibe of that whole song when just on stage and just when I listen to it back. And I try not to listen to our own music, you know, too much at all past what I need to check the mixes and stuff like that. You know, you don't want to get demoitis, and I try to make sure that things stay somewhat fresh for myself going back into it all the time. But that's definitely one I think that I enjoy listening to the most and playing the most.
Now, let me ask you this. As the one that writes all the songs, what do you do to overcome writer's block?
Really, and I would say we all play a part in writing in some capacity or another. I mean, a lot of times I might bring in, you know, the pre-production, or I might bring in all the vocals and lyrics that I've written. We kind of go from there and really try to spend a lot of time on each song because it's the music's the most important part. And what I've learned though is I have ADHD from hell, and I will question myself to no end. You know what I mean? And I will just redo it. Sometimes that helps and it gets better, but a lot of times it's just too much and there's no need, and you'll get, you know, analysis paralysis, writer's block, where you're just kind of stuck in one area. I've learned to just, even if let me try to make something I'm going to hate. You know, I'd rather just put it out there and do it and it be terrible, and at least be like, all right, I know that now this is terrible. I can go and redo it, you know, adjust it, make some changes, whatever it is. But if I just push myself to just put it out there and not worry about if it's going to be bad or good or not, a lot of times I find that it probably was better than a lot of the stuff that I spent more time on, just because it came naturally and, you know, was in that kind of flow state. But at the same time, that allows me to keep putting things out, keep having things that are finished, somewhat finished products, you know what I mean? And then that much easier to go back there and adjust it. But I think in our minds a lot as writers, it's easy to feel like we've got to perfect it then.
Right.
At the moment before we've even written the whole song. And how can you really do that and approach the whole song, make the whole song good? If not, you just end up with a bunch of good parts. And I don't think you want that personally. You want a song that start to finish flows together really well.
Right. Now, let me ask y'all, do y'all have any personal favorite albums? Like, let's say you got trapped on an island, right? You can only bring one album with you. What album are you taking with you?
I'll let you start that one.
For me, it's a tie between Messengers and Constellations by August Burns Red.
I figured he's gonna say that. August Burns Red is great.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I discovered them. It had to have been like 08, 09. Napster, LimeWire, whatever. My brother was like, dude, you gotta check this band out. Saw them at Warped Tour. I think they were like literally one of the first or second bands that year playing. And yeah, I've been hooked on them ever since. And Matt's a phenomenal drummer, so it's really not hard to be obsessed and like that band.
I agree.
It'd probably be a weird one for me. I love the Doors, and like the Doors is just an all-time favorite band of mine. So I'd probably have to have some Doors album at least. It'd be maybe the first one. It'd be hard to decide though. There's so many great ones.
For me, first. Oh, sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good. No, yeah, you're good. That's all I was gonna say. Really, just any Doors album. Honestly, give me any of them, I'd be okay.
For me personally, it'd be this
Oh, that's
album
such a
right
great
here.
It's a good album.
See, that's
I
what got
love-
me started on a lot of music.
As you see, my shirt is Silverstein.
Nice.
They were supposed to come to Atlanta January the 21st, and we got, you know how it is in the South, you get a little bit of snow and they cancel the fucking show. You're like,
Oh,
damn,
yeah.
come on, I wanted to go to this shit, and they canceled it, and I was so upset. But they rescheduled it to April, and they were originally. Have you ever heard of the band Arms Link?
I don't think I have.
They're a great band. Y'all should check them out. Very good
Yeah.
band. But they were coming on tour with them. I was really hooked on them. And then they ended up changing it. And now they're bringing Real Friends along with them. And Real Friends is a great band.
Yeah, I love that band as well.
Yeah.
I followed it quite a bit.
A lot of their songs really hit home, you know. So I'm
So
excited.
I didn't
for
realize
that.
you're in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're actually not that far from us. That's kind of like I do a lot of film work in Atlanta, so I'm about, depending which part of Atlanta, I'm about 3.5 hours to 4 hours from there.
I'm like actually 30 minutes north of Atlanta. I'm in a town called Marietta.
Oh, no, Marietta. Yeah, actually, I played in a band for a while with some people in Atlanta.
Okay.
We actually stayed in Marietta. I used to play Swayze's. If you remember that venue.
Hell yeah, I remember
Yeah,
Swayze, dude. Damn.
I've been there though.
It's a cool little and it was it's not there now, but little shopping center basically where
Yes,
they had a
sir.
little venue in. It was a cool little spot though.
Yeah,
But-
like Marietta and Augusta, Georgia were like my two markets that I was able to book shows in. Like I could never get into Atlanta proper, and then any other area in Georgia was just like no interest.
But it's funny. It's funny y'all bring up Swayze's though, because for me, I was getting into Swayze's because it was all age club. I was like 12 or 13 years old, dude, listening to the bands all over the place. Like I think the first time I ever saw Hawthorne Heights was there.
Nice.
That's awesome. See, it sounds like me and you got the same kind of story because that's what I grew up on. I remember when I really first started getting out of like Avenged Sevenfold and like the radio type of metal or the Headbangers Ball MTV type stuff you'd see. I liked The Used a lot, so I started finding more bands like The Used. I kind of wasn't a huge My Chemical Romance fan then. I felt like they were like overrated. Everyone had the My Chemical Romance shirt. I was a non-conforming emo kid. I was like, I got to find like the most niche bands that I can out there. And I remember buying, I think it was Hawthorne Heights, the If Only You Were Lonely or If Only We Were Lonely album. And then on that had there you go. Yeah. It had the split, the Victory Records DVD in it, which then had like some of the music videos and stuff with Silverstein and Atreyu and Hawthorne Heights. And that's really how I got into all that at like 13, 14 years old, going to all ages shows, random VFW clubs and stuff.
Right, because like the first time my mom ever dropped me off at Swayze, she was looking around. She was like, "Is this place okay to just leave my kid at? Like, I see a bunch of kids, you know, they look like they might be on some drugs or something." But I was like, "Mom, it's all ages." She was like, "There's no alcohol here, none of that." I was like, "No." I was like, "We're all teenagers, you know, we can get in here." And she kind of like asked the doorman. She was like, "Can I peek my head through the door?" And she peeked in. And she was like, "Oh, there's just a bunch of kids dancing and whatnot and having a great time in the dark." You know, that place was dark as hell. So
those are some of the safest places kids probably could be at, even though parents looked at like these shows as being rough.
Right.
Like I remember I mean, it's terrible. I remember we had a place called Rascals here, and it was like basically a nightclub, but for teenagers. But it was like 15-year-olds and stuff that were there bringing their own bottles of liquor, grinding on each other, like full on club essentially, but for all ages kids, or just for, all ages. And
Right.
that was not like the best environment, but parents had no problem sending their kids there. But then going to a metal show or something, everybody was against for whatever reason.
It was like Latchkey, but for like degenerate shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So let's hold on. I had some questions wrote up. Let me see what I got here.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, I guess for what would how do you prepare for live performance, and what do you enjoy most about connecting with your audience?
You want to start with that? I know it kind of starts with drums a little bit there.
So I'm one of the few people that actually prepares. I say that in a joking manner, but like a lot of
It's true though.
there's a lot of stress being a drummer when you have click track and all the backing tracks and stuff. So like I'm used to it now, but when I joined this band, I had never performed live to a click with tracks and all that stuff. So
Right.
the first couple shows, like I was pretty nervous just because like if I fuck up, like there's no like we can't restart the song. You know what I mean? Obviously now it's second nature. I'm going out with the Almas in March, and I'm just basically my process is jam with the song, make sure I know and understand all the parts, and then I'll jam it with the click track, and then I'll jam it with just the click and nothing else, making sure I know the song inside and out. The one thing I will say though is that for most of my career as a drummer, people were like, you're really stiff, you're not animated, it doesn't look like you're having fun. And part of the problem, and I realize this now, was that I was always at the mercy of the sound on stage and my other musicians playing their shit correctly. So if the guitar player starts a song 60 beats per minute faster than what the song's supposed to be, it's like, do I slow it down and make it drastically fucking like weird? Or do I play it way too fast and then everybody suffers? When we did, I think after our first two shows, we went out on our first tour, and like it was just crazy. Like I'm not at the mercy of anybody. I have the click in my ears, and it's actually allowed me to actually perform and have fun. And I wish I would have done this 15 years ago, because it truly is a game changer. And I always get a kick out of it. I'll read comments online where people are like, oh, drummers that play to a click, they need it as a crutch or a kickstand or, whatever. I personally think it allows you and it opens up that ability to have fun and perform at a high level.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, and I think too, where bands like us, we have, a lot of electronics and like all these different choirs and pads and all these different things are in the background. So it's like very necessary that we run on a click, because obviously we can't afford to hire somebody to come play that instrument every single night.
Falling in Reverse does it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's what bands have done forever. You know what I mean? For a long time. I mean, bands have kind of been that way. But obviously, it's not practical to try to bring those types of things every single time you play a show. So running, click is very important for us. And obviously, the drummer is the one that we all go off of, really. So as long as the drummer's on the click, at least the rest of us know that we'll be on. But, we're kind of in a transitionary phase right now, because our guitarist and our bassist had quit. And our bassist was basically our producer. He also had our full live rig and stuff that we, our in-ear systems, our guitar amps, everything that we were basically using at that time, all in his setup, and he ran it all on his MacBook. So then now we're having to adjust where I'm kind of setting everything up. We're building a live rig out again, having to buy new in-ear systems and everything like that as well. And most of the things we've got already and built out, but still a few more pieces to kind of put together for that. And that's sort of what I'm taking that role over now. Right. Going in and prepping all the live gear, all making sure that everything we run it all in one DAW basically, so that our set, we know exactly down to the second how long that set is. So in between every song, we know how many minutes or how many seconds is in between the next song. Obviously, we have cues in our ears and stuff, so it let us know that the crowd doesn't hear it all, and that allows us just to be more on time, to communicate better, and also get our set down to exact. What we know. I don't practice what I say every night or anything like that. Obviously, I let that flow. but
Right.
at least I know how much time I have in between, and where I can dive into a bigger story about a song about, or where I've just got to hype the crowd up as we're about to hop into this next one. But I'm saying that's a lot of it, and then just practicing, a lot. I have my own recording setup and stuff here, where we were remote for a long time, so basically us trying to get together and physically practice was really, really hard to do. So we would send each other basically a track like what we would hear in our ears, where the drums are taken out, for instance, so that Kevin can play along and hear his parts, and there's not drums already there he's playing over top of. And vocals, same way, pull my vocals out and I'll play to the track just like I would when we're running our in-ears. But there's nothing that compares to full band practice, or at least getting together with a few of your members and jamming through everything. And that's kind of where we're at now, is prepping all that and getting our whole new live setup ready for these festivals that we got coming up this year.
One thing that blows a lot of people's minds is that we never actually practiced as a full band before our first 2 shows. So we hadn't rehearsed, what we're doing on stage. Like, we went into these 2 shows, like we knew our songs, and that was basically it. And then, then when we went out on our first tour, we did get together, I think, like a couple days before we left.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
But I think a lot of it is when you've been playing music for long enough, like, certain things you can kind of like learn on the fly, as long as you know the music, right? Like what Aiden says in between the songs, like, you want it to be natural. You don't want to have it sound rehearsed, to that extent.
Right. You want it to be pure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because we did those first 2 shows having not practiced together, we kind of figured out how to create that flow. And when you go and see, bands like Ice Nine Kills, like, it's an actual show. Like, that's what the people get like really hyped up about. If you go and see a show and in between the song, there's dead silence and you can hear the guitarist tuning, like little stuff like that. That turns a lot of people off. And I'll be honest, as an artist, like, I hate seeing that at a show.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, we learned a lot, and I think it just kind of came naturally. And now our live shows where it's at, and it's going to continue to evolve and progress, as we move forward.
Now, how do y'all work as a band? Because I know y'all 2 live in Johnson City, correct?
Yeah,
And
I live in
the
Bristol.
rest-
He lives in Johnson City, so basically 20-30 minutes away from each other.
Okay. But the other members live in what, Detroit?
So I actually am originally from Detroit. I moved down here a year ago. So me and the other member were in Michigan. We would get together to like shoot content, demo out stuff like that. And then Cody and Aiden being down here, we would just throw stuff in a Google Drive, go back and forth. And then we would get together and designate days for like shooting music videos, photo shoots, things of that nature. I made the conscious decision because I wanted to get the hell out of Michigan. After coming down here as many times as I did, I was like, I really like it down here. The weather's great. It's an entirely different lifestyle than Michigan. And my wife and I relocated down here a year ago. So it ended up working out because now we're like way closer and we're the focal point of the band now.
And we got better food down here.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Sorry, Michigan people, but it's true.
No, Michigan's food's garbage, bro. For real.
Yeah, South's where it's at when it comes to food. That's for sure.
We got that real soul food down here.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else we got to add. Let's see. What challenges have you faced as a band, and how do you overcome them?
That's a long answer.
Yeah, we can go on a list. It's probably easier to list out the things that we haven't dealt with yet. I mean, I would say for me that I've dealt, I've played in a lot of bands over the years, and a lot of times, I've been kind of doing a lot of the management, a lot of the design and stuff, and branding. And before this band, I was pretty much booking all the shows in my old bands as well, and trying to network and make all those connections. And the biggest thing is trying to get other people to care about their own careers. It's like nobody. If you try to help them and suggest things all the time, a lot of times nobody wants to do it until it's like their idea. Mm-hmm. And if it's what's, best for things and it's pushing things forward, it's like, how do you deal with that a lot? And, I've learned that it's about how you approach it, your tone of voice, and just trying to express that this is for the betterment of everything. This isn't something that I'm just trying to do just because I want to do it for no reason, at all. And if you don't want to do it, speak up. But a lot of times, nobody will say anything. Right. And I think that's, what we dealt with our previous band, Spencer and Cody, is that, I definitely push a lot and try to get us to do a lot of work. And Kevin's the same way. I've probably never met someone who's like as responsive and just on it and has initiative like Kevin does. And that's always my hardest problem in bands, is finding those members that have that initiative and get them to actually care about, their own career and wake up every day like you do and work on this. And
Right.
some people don't want to do that. And that's totally understandable, but that's just, I'm trying to make a career in this, and I've been doing it for a long time. Everything has progressively gotten better and better for me, and I've made more accomplishments as I've went. So I know that, no matter what, if I keep at it, it's still going to grow up. You know what I mean? I might not be millionaire status or, and numerous hit songs and #1 hits or whatever, but
Right.
as long as we're still putting out music and growing our fan base, I mean, that's all that really matters to me.
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle for any band, especially if you're operating and you don't have like a team of people behind you, is just like you have to wear a lot of hats. So like, if we need a merch design or a flyer or anything, like that's Aiden. Photography, that's Aiden. Shooting the music video, the editing, the treatment, all that's Aiden. And then like for me, it's like I'm not just the drummer, I'm handling, like if he's dumping a bunch of reels in the Google Drive, like we'll collaborate on like the caption, hashtags, but like
Right.
since I work remotely and I have the ability to do, and this is something a lot of our fans have commented on, I literally respond to every message, every comment on every platform, literally probably within like minutes.
Yeah, you do.
I spent like hours, just talking to people that either came across us and just building a really like organic, kind of like friendship, you know what I mean? And it's really tough if you don't have a team behind you to do that stuff for you. And, with it being just us two now, it can get a little overwhelming. At one point, I think we were posting 3 to 5 times a day, and like it would be like 2 reels and then like 3 text posts or a picture. And like I'll tell other bands, like, this is kind of like what you got to do to keep that, like keep you in the algorithm and like have people engaged, because people are pretty needy. Like that's just the world we live in. So yeah, it can be pretty difficult. And it was really funny when we got back from our tour in July. Everyone was like, yeah, we're gonna take like a whole week off to decompress, blah 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 blah. Next day I woke up and I got right back on booking, and I was like, hey guys, like this is the shit that I'm working on. And they're like, bro, for real, we just got back. I'm like, dude, it don't stop. It never stops.
Yeah. Don't stop.
In a lot of bands, that's like posting so much. It seems like bands don't want to do that. They don't want to be content creators. And,
That's the problem.
But the way that I've really started to look at it that's helped is like, if you post 10 times in a day, the same people that see that first one are not going to be the same people that see all of them. So people get worried they're going to overwhelm their audience. And honestly, if somebody gets overwhelmed and deletes you or something, that's probably doing you a favor, because they weren't a diehard fan.
Yep.
Right.
And like Kevin said, it's really important to respond to everybody, as quick as possible, and at least give them something, because bands focus too much on, and other artists, they focus too much on looking for those big numbers. They want the hundreds of thousands of streams and the hundreds of thousands of views. And obviously those things help tremendously. But at the same time, if that isn't converting into fans who are consistently going back to every release that you do and every merch item you put out, every album, EP, single that you put out, then it's not really doing you as big of a favor over time and building you a career.
Right.
So if you focus now, on the small things, the people that are there now talking to you, that honestly, I feel like a lot of bands get annoyed almost. Like when I've talked to some others before, and I never understood this, it's like all these fans that at the very beginning that are like just already diehard, that are just there commenting and responding and messaging them all the time. They just don't even mess with that, because it's like almost a nuisance to them, and they don't realize that that's the true fans. You know what I mean? The people that are there.
Right.
We have a lot of people in other bands, and this isn't the same for a lot of artists, but we have a lot of people in bands that are fans of us. And most people will tell you, don't focus on other bands. That's not your primary audience. And I agree with that for probably most artists, but Kevin's a booking agent. I do music videos and direct and graphic design and photography and stuff for bands and artists. So then at the same time, we're both involved in the industry outside of the band. So then a lot of artists in general follow us. And then that's went back into our band, and we've been able to give a lot of advice and sort of build an audience off of helping other artists. And I think that's hard, just for some artists to kind of get over those mindsets of just the ego numbers, focus on the people that are here now and grow that. And those are your target audience. You know what I mean? And then you can expand that by looking at that and figure out where do I find more people like this, and just not letting it get to you too hard, and obviously just having some initiative and stuff. It's super hard to find.
Okay, let me ask you all this then. I saw y'all landed with Rob Zombie on a new festival.
Yeah.
Tell me a little more about that.
I'll let Kevin.
So Upheaval Festival's 2 days. It's July 18th and 19th in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Rob Zombie, Architects, and a plethora of other bands are playing Friday. Plot You, The Funeral Portrait. We're playing on Saturday. Right now they haven't announced the headliner for it, but there's a hell of a lot of really good bands already announced, like Never Tell.
Killer's Confessions on our day.
Body Snatcher,
Body Snatcher.
It's going to be a hell of a show. We're honestly super stoked to find out who the headliners are. Like Aiden and I probably have varying degrees of like who we would really want. But yeah, no, we're really stoked. We're playing that. Rock on the Hill is in Pennsylvania in June, and then Rock for Vets is another one in Michigan actually that we're going to be playing in August.
Yeah, and Rock on the Hill actually has Red Jumpsuit Apparatus on it, and Until I Wake, right? They're on it.
Yep, and then our buddies Envision and Major Moment are on it as well. Yep. So
it's gonna be a good one.
It's funny. Aiden was talking about, we're like a band's band. Like we have a lot of good connections and like familiarity with a lot of bands. Right. And when you get to play shows with your homies, like nothing beats it. It's a lot of fun.
I agree. I used to be an EDM artist, like DJ more so, and like getting to DJ shows with my homies was like some of the coolest shit ever. Like when I first started a show, one of my buddies, his name is Seth Hoover. He goes by Cap. He actually just won a big tournament here in Atlanta for being a drum and bass artist. And like going in, I was scared shitless, dude. Like I had 50 people in front of me, and I'm looking over at him, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm scared." He was like, "Don't be." He's like, "Don't be." He's like, "I'm right here." He's like, "If you have any questions, just like look over at me and be like, 'Hey, I need your help.'" And I was like, "Hey, I need your fucking help, dude. Like, help me. I'm freaking out over here." And he was like, "I got you." So he said the only thing that night at my first show, he's like, the only thing he kept doing was redlining, bro. He's like, you got to figure out how not to turn it up too high and too low. And I was like, all right, whatever works, man.
I love EDM. I've not ever done any kind of like DJing or anything like that. I used to make a little bit of electronic music like in FL Studio back in the day before I got fully into doing like metal and production and stuff like that. But I think the biggest stage though is the stage. And what I've learned is like you can mess up as many times on stage as long as you play it off cool. You know, have fun with it. I mean, and what was it? Was it our second tour? It was the second tour we did. One of our songs, our tracks messed up 4 times in a row. And when you're running tracks, like to a certain extent,
it was the same part each time too.
And to a certain extent, you can like get back on the track if it didn't stop, if it just glitched or something. Hopefully, the drummer might be able to get back onto the track and get everyone else back on. But a lot of times they can't. And I mean, I saw Sleeping with Sirens once have to quit in the middle of a song because sometimes you just can't get back on. It's not the drummer's fault or nothing. If it's glitching and it's off, then you're off, and sometimes you just got to stop and restart. But ours, I think that night, our MacBook just kept the whole session in Pro Tools would just crash every time at the second verse. So literally 4 times, the 4th time it worked, but 3 different times it got to that point and crashed. So we had to stop, in front of 30, 40, 50 people. And
they were good sports about it though.
And that's what I'm saying. The crowd feeds off your energy. So if I would have then been screaming at Spencer and been like, what the hell's going on with your MacBook? And we would have got an argument on stage. Then everyone would have felt awkward. The crowd would have
they would have been like, yo, these guys are assholes. We don't want to.
They would have, exactly. They would have mirrored, they would have mirrored that. You see all the time when I think it was Dave Navarro and his band, they got in a fight on stage. TMZ posted everywhere. And so I mean, I think that's one of the big things is it's just about playing it off good. If you mess up, you mess up. Tell the crowd, like, sorry, we mess up. Laugh it off, make a joke, just talk to the crowd a bit. They're going to feed off your energy. As long as you can do that, you're going to be good no matter what happens.
Hi, Mom. I see you in the comments section. Thank you. I love you, Mom. I'll see you in a little while. But yeah, so It's funny you brought up Kellen Quinn, speaking of mom, because the first time I think I ever put Sleeping with Sirens album on in her car back in the day, she started hearing him. And, you know, he's got a unique voice. And she was like, oh, my God, I love this girl. She's so amazing. I was like, Mom, I hate to break it to you, but that's a dude. And we just started laughing about it. It was so funny. I was like, yeah, that's a dude.
Yeah, it's so funny that his range is right up there. That's what everybody thinks when they first hear them if they don't know, this genre very well or that band.
Yeah.
Right. Or you've never seen like a YouTube video of them or something.
Yeah.
But Kellen's great. I love Kellen. I think he's a very talented vocalist.
No, yeah, he is. He's amazing. That's why I want to get him on a track. There's been opportunities because we work with Cameron Mizell, and I've worked with him for years on a couple of different things, but he did like Miss Misery, and he produced World of Confusion. We ended up having Spencer mix it, but Miss Misery, he fully mixed and mastered. And Cameron, he did Sleeping with Sirens' first album and still works with Kellen to this day. He does a lot of the Memphis Mayfire stuff. And he did their first 3 albums, but he still works with them, with Kellen, their guitarist, still works with them on all the instrumentals and the vocals and stuff. And a couple of different times I've pretty much had the opportunity to get him to basically bridge that connection for me. It just always the bands end up breaking apart right at that moment or something happens. So I think I'm waiting for that right moment for the right song. And we've been focused on collabs a lot coming out. So it's for anybody on here right now that, what little secret is we're going to have a collab with Dropout Kings. If anybody here knows them, I don't know if you know them. They're a great band.
I think I have heard of them.
But yeah, that'll come out sometime this year as well.
Song's fucking fire too.
Yeah, you'll really like this one. I think it's definitely
it's
one of the most emotional ones and probably my favorite lyrically too so far.
It's definitely different too, which that's kind of the goal when you're doing a feature with another artist. And it still sounds like a Poet the Band song. It still has all of our DNA and the sound, but having those guys on it definitely adds a different element. And I think it's fucking awesome.
I guess I completely forgot, but I totally do like a rap part at the beginning too, which is something that like I'm not ever released anything with something like that on it. So it'll be interesting to see how people receive that.
Interesting. Now, do y'all have an own personal favorite band that you would love to, either go on tour with or bring them alongside y'all?
Would you answer that?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, are we talking like national level band or like kind of
No. There's any level. It doesn't matter where they're at. Like they might be newer, they might be older. They can be down here, they can be up here, or just somewhere in the middle.
So I really like Spirit Box a lot. I would love to tour with them.
Great choice.
If we're like kind of going down the ladder of like not as big of a band, Alex from Envision has came and seen us at every show that we've done in Biloxi, Gulfport area. Really good group of dudes. Would love to go out with them. We know tons and tons of bands through, networking, booking, all that stuff. So I could probably rattle off like 10 or 15 more. A lot of it's just like good people and people that are fun to be around. We took Indigo out with us in October. They saved our asses with the vehicle and the live rig. And we didn't know them on a personal level. I knew of them and their music from their manager. But like we hit it off with those guys like within hours of us being on the road. And we basically drove from Tennessee. They drove from Texas to Tennessee, and then they stayed here. We ran through the set, got all the gear figured out. And then we drove from Tennessee straight down to Biloxi for our first show. So I think it was like a 10-ish, actually it was more like a 13-hour drive.
Yeah, that's a hell of a drive.
And like, dude, we all just hit it off like immediately. Obviously there's little quirks that you figure out with the people when you're confined, day in and day out. But they're just genuinely like very, very nice people. We're all there to do a job. We're all there supporting each other. It was just a blast, man.
That sounds
I would
awesome.
say if I had to pick, there's so many bands that I like. Obviously, Spirit Box would be a dream.
Bad Omens.
Bad Omens. That would definitely be a dream. I really like the band Colorblind, and they're one of that's what I've been listening to constantly right now. I would love to go on a tour with them. I think they're from Texas, I believe, as well. Catch Your Breath, if you know them. Both of those bands, I would love to go out on the road with them. Obviously, they're kind of one of those bands that they're at the point where they're all going out with bigger bands and stuff. So it's hard to ever get a band like that to take another smaller band out because they're building, their thing up as well. But yeah, definitely if I had to choose somebody within, I feel like our wheelhouse, our genre, I would go with one of those two.
All right, I'll give y'all a recommendation because there's he's become one of my homies, and they're called Dinosaurs in Paris.
Oh,
and
we know those guys.
Yeah. When y'all look you guys up on Spotify, they're actually the -- similar band that comes up.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I found them through Ghost Killers. If you know what Ghost Killers
Yeah,
are.
of course. Yeah, I know Zach.
And I was listening to Ghost Killers, and they came up, and I was like, damn, they're really good. And then I pulled y'all up on Spotify, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, they're comparing these two, but in my opinion, I think they're a little bit heavier than y'all.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, we do a good mix. Like, you got Weightless, where
Right.
it's all singing. It's kind of like a pop alternative song.
Think of You.
Yeah, but then we've got, World of Confusion and Like a Devil, where they're quite a bit heavier and a lot more screaming and stuff. We try to do
And
a
I
mix.
didn't mean that disrespectfully. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
I
that they
know.
have a heavier, presence, I guess.
For sure. No, yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
I've already spoken to, I want to say it might have been their singer. It was a while ago. But yeah, they expressed interest. They're like, yeah, if we can go out on tour with you guys or do like a weekend, let's do it. And like, that's one of the downsides is like, there's not enough time for us to do all the things that we want to do. Yeah, because like we kind of neglected the music in some respects with all the touring that we were doing, the music videos, the merch. Like, there's not enough money and there's not enough time. That's
Right.
basically the struggle of being a musician in 2025.
And we're probably more DIY than most artists because we're, for the most part, producing our own stuff,
Right.
doing our own videos, design, our own tours, all those kind of things. So then trying to find the time in all that, within just a year, you know what I mean, to get all that kind of stuff done, it's definitely been harder. So that's why I wanted to take a little bit of a step back this year and focus on, what our next singles or album might be.
Yeah. And I mean, like our entire goal, like when I joined the band, I kind of gave a little bit of the background. Like we had never been in the same room before, but Aiden had a vision and like sat us all down and was like, this has got to be our posting schedule. Like, these are the colors. This is the branding that I want to go for. And like every other band I was in, it was just like chaos, right? Like, hey, we'll find someone to do this. We'll find someone to do that. And like, then we would argue about designs, and like he puts together like badass shit. Like there's not even ever an ounce of me being like, oh, I think we should go in this direction. Right. And then like when we're announcing the tours, right? Like if you have your own booking agent, they're handling the tour announcement for all the venues, all the promoters. They're reaching out to, PR people, and they're aligning, maybe 20, 30 people to go, hey, this is going live on this date. We don't have that. So I'm coordinating with them. And then I'm working with Aiden. I'm like, bro, where's the graphics? We need this. So like it turns into, a lot of late nights. I mean, I remember him and I kind of butted heads on it. And I was like, listen, bro, you confirmed it twice. You're like, well, I guess I'm not sleeping tonight. And, the next morning he had it, and the shit looked great. And, I got to commend him. We wear so many hats that it gets very, very difficult. But at the same time, I think it's saving us a hell of a lot of money. And secondly, we do have creative control over like almost all the elements that we want. And to us, that's really important. So yeah, it's a tough gig, man.
And we can streamline everything in that sense too, because since we don't have a label, and we can be malleable in the sense that if things go wrong, we can make adjustments pretty quickly and not have to spend a tremendous amount more money. If we've had like the Weightless music video, for instance, we had it all planned out where we were going to this specific location that I've been to many times before, but it is kind of like a treacherous back road to get up top of this mountain. And nowhere online it said it was open and it was all good. But when we got there, it was closed because a mudslide had happened. We're there at like 5 a.m. Everybody's together trying to get everything going. We have to find a new location in no amount of time, basically, to try to still shoot something that day. Then we finally get to this other location. We brought a generator and everything, pull the drums and everything out. But then all of a sudden it starts raining. So then we couldn't keep the drums out. But we had to shoot something because we had the videographer there coming to help me out. And because usually when we shoot, I'll bring somebody to be a cinematographer, and then I mainly just direct and edit that way because I've obviously got to be in the shots too somehow. So somebody's got to operate the camera at times. But basically, it ended up being a thing where we had to do something. And that's why it ended up not having full band stuff in that music video. is just because we had to get something out and to keep on our schedule. People still liked it a lot, but unfortunately, we didn't get to put full instruments in there because how the day went. But being able to do those kind of things and then adjust, you know what I mean, and we didn't pay, luckily, a videographer, or director thousands and thousands of dollars that day for it to not go, right. So then now we're able to adjust that, put it into somewhere else, or we could have, waited on that video and pushed some other things back. Yep. But that allows us the ability to do that there's nobody that we owe money to, on a record label or nobody pushing us, telling us that we have to do this for their livelihood necessarily. We're able to adjust everything ourselves and then streamline it. Like I said, he's able to book all the tours and get us on the road. I'm able to get the graphics done as we need. Somebody tells me that we need a new photo or a new video, we can figure it out within a week or two and have all those things done. And that's kind of how we are with production on the music side as well.
Well, Heart in Your Mind was the same situation. We had booked a location in Nashville, and I think it might have been the day before. Cody was like, "Yeah, I can't make it."
Oh,
so,
yeah. That's what it was, yeah.
We get there, and we're like, "Hey, do we shoot it as a 3-piece?" And then the one thing I'll say I think we do really good is like pivoting. And it's got to be a split second. Like, hey, and like for me, like I'm spending all this time. I brought my drums. Like my ego is totally out the door. I was just like, I don't care if I'm not in the video. Let's get the shit done. We're here. I leave the vision up to him. And that's a crucial element too. Like I could imagine another band, if you told the drummer, hey, you're not going to be in this video, they'd probably be pissed off, or, oh, why did I drive all the way out here? Why did I invest this time? Why did I invest this money? And like Aiden and I think we know there's a bigger goal and a bigger picture. And it's like, if one of us has to sacrifice something, and usually it's minor stuff. It's not like, oh, the end of the world, I'm not in this video. I'm still promoting the hell out of it. Like I am in the video. And like, we help on set too. Like we're hanging up lights. We're all shooting this. Well, this is another thing to just kind of divert from, but I'm sure you could see we post a lot of content. Like when we're shooting these music videos, we're not sitting on our asses, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for someone to say, action. We're all shooting like reels, stories, like, doing the selfie thing, whatever. And
behind the scenes type stuff.
Yeah, all the behind the scenes stuff. So it's go constantly. And when we're on tour, when we're in the van, Aiden's shooting shit. He's editing stuff. We're posting constantly to keep that engagement up. And like he said earlier, and this is something that Aiden has taught me a lot about social media I didn't know, just because you post once a day and that 10% sees it doesn't mean the second post is going to be a different 10%. So if you post
about the algorithm.
Yeah, so if you post 5 times a day, in theory, you could touch 50% of your overall fan base, right? If you were only posting once a day or like once a week and you're only hitting that 10%, you might have to run an ad to hopefully make up for it. But like we're doing that, so we're hopefully maximizing it. And if we run, targeted ads, like when we're booking tours, we're strategically targeting those markets beforehand. So I think it was when we were in Charlotte. It was like Raleigh. It was a Wednesday night at a record store, and Aiden every date on that tour was like, oh, this is our like 4th show as a band, 5th show as a band. The promoter came out to us, paid us. He's like, damn. He's like, you guys outdrew everybody on like a Wednesday. He was like, did I hear you right? This is like your band's like 4th show ever. And we're like, yeah. He goes, were they all in like North Carolina? I go, no, I've never even played in North Carolina ever. And he goes, damn. He's like, whatever you guys are doing, man, keep it up. So it's nice to see those results. And like, we do work really hard. I mean, between the stuff for Poet, I have my own booking agency. Now I'm like learning stuff for the Almas. I'm going out on tour with them. I have a 9-to-5 and I'm married and I have a house. Like the days go by real fucking quick, man.
For sure.
And it's the same for Aiden too.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of social media content for the company he works for, shooting music videos for other bands, putting together assets. So we embrace the workload, and I think it's just going to help benefit us in the long run, getting as proficient as we can in all these different areas and all the hats we have to wear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I look back to like the first video that I'd ever shot in my old band, Arm the Witness. It was a cover of Stay by Alessia Cara, I think is what it was, or Alessia Cara.
Yeah.
I remember that, just going back and looking at, that video compared to where I'm at now. And that shows that if you really put the time and effort into it, and you're okay with it being, not everything has to happen in a year. If you can be okay with that, and look at things in a 2 to 5 year plan, then at that point in that 5 years, you're going to wake up and realize like, okay, I've become extremely proficient at this skill.
Right.
And now that is saving me, tens of thousands of dollars every year on still putting out the same amount of content as we would if we would have went to, a big director or something like I'd done my entire life previous up to this band, basically.
I would love to link y'all with one of my friends. She has really done great in the music industry. She started off, her name was MK Ultra. She was an EDM DJ. And I remember her, she used to play at a venue called Iris, which is now Believe Music Hall in Atlanta. I won't say, since we're on live, I won't say nothing bad about it, but I guess they're not my favorite club.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. But she is great. I remember her. She used to play at another club called Quad in front of like 50 people. Well, fast forward, now she's playing festivals, dude, and she's did a song with I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Funtcase or Marshmello.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's got a song with Marshmello that she does the vocals for. She's got a song with Adventure Club she's done the vocals for. Like she's amassing a lot of fans and whatnot. And I think
that's awesome.
I think she'd be really cool to check out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, we definitely would love to check her out. And
do a collab.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're always down.
Right.
That's what we're doing kind of right now is collaborating with a lot of people. So
Right, because she's multi-talented. She can maybe add a little electronic type style onto something if you want to go that route on a track for some reason.
Hey, I'm always down for that kind of stuff.
Look at Bad Omens with Poppy. You can take stuff that doesn't seem like it would work. Like when Knocked Loose did the song with Poppy, I was actually almost more impressed just because I honestly hadn't heard of her, and that like Banshee scream that she did, I was just like, damn, this shit is insane.
I agree with what my mom just said there. Seems like you have it go together. Being able to bend with what comes up and knowing how to do it all will only help in the long run. Hard work pays off.
Thank you.
It does.
Yeah,
She always told me that.
Sometimes stuff happens. When it was actually our tour in July. We were literally getting on stage to perform, and the promoter for the show the following night literally canceled on us. And it was a very stressful moment because we're going to be like 3,000 miles away from home. It was like a Friday night show. Those are the best shows to make the most money and play in front of the most people. And like to have that happen right before you go on stage was like the biggest kick in the nuts. And, Aiden's like, dude, just get through the show. We'll figure it out. And like a lot of the times that's what it is. Just get through whatever, you'll figure it out. And we ended up the next morning finding a location in Houston, and there was 89 people paid through the door. And like the reason that venue canceled was because they claimed there was 0 pre-sales, even though 2 months prior there was like 15. So I don't know what they're doing.
It'd be like that.
But sometimes it happens.
But like
stupid shit.
I guess like it's just never give up. If the show wouldn't have panned out, we would have just been like, whatever, we got a day off. But just don't get in a negative mindset and like look what happened. That show was like a lot of fun. We made a lot of fans. We actually had that one lady, Dos Equis. She's been following us for a long time. We got to meet her and her husband.
Stephanie, right?
Yeah, Stephanie. And then it worked out. Just gotta try and stay positive.
That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to look at what the planning is great, and you want to plan for get a 6-month plan, a year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. But at a certain point, you just got to look at what's in front of you, and walk that. Take the 2 steps that you got right here and forward. Think about all the other stuff as it comes later. You've got it in your mind, but sometimes it can be definitely like a crux in a way.
Yeah, like our original goal was like way less intense year 1, year 2, year 3 than what we initially set out. But it was like after we accomplished that one little thing, all of a sudden all these other things happened. So like we were literally only supposed to do our tour in July, and I was in the process of working that. And then the Whiskey A Go-Go hits me up and was like, hey, does Poet want to play here? I've heard from Aiden like 50 times, my goal is to play the whiskey. I have to play the whiskey. So I dropped it in the chat. I'm like, well, what do you think, guys? Are we doing another tour? And like he was all about it, even though it really went against, our overall plan. But yeah, no, it's the rewards for all the hard work. And then when you see that stuff happen in real time. It's, yeah, I don't know. You just can't like express. It's really cool.
Right. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Now let me ask y'all some silly questions.
Okay.
So say you got to use an instrument, but you can only use something like silly, like what do they call it? A triangle or a kazoo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only instrument that you two can use to create your band. What are y'all choosing?
I think a recorder, because I used to annoy the shit out of people that
Same.
There we go. Yeah.
Holding all the holes in and just yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to go with the triangle then. We'll do the kazoo and the triangle.
Right.
I can't think of other instruments right now, but the triangle sounds pretty fun to annoy people.
For me, it'd be more cowbell, man.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. More cowbell.
I mean, other than that, like the only other thing I think that would be really funny is a trumpet, because you could just do
Right.
have a lot of fun
Trumpets
with
are
that.
Agreed.
Or if you're Patrick the Star, it'd be mayonnaise.
Hey, there you go.
Now, and another question, I guess it's a silly one as well. What's one of the most embarrassing moments that has happened on stage?
I think I know one of yours.
Really, probably just when we had to stop the song 4 times, like I was talking about earlier, where we had to stop the whole entire set.
I'm thinking prior to Poet.
Which one was it?
I think you were like really sick, and you said you like puked and then like ran back out on stage or something.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely, yeah, years ago. Let's see, this was Knoxville in probably 2011 at I think it was like Carnes Community Center. It was one of those old VFW type shows where you play on the floor. But I just remember, I was on stage and I had to throw up at some point. I don't know if I got overworked, just overheated or whatnot. So I hadn't drank a lot or anything that night. And it was either vomit right on the crowd right here in front of me. I'm in the middle of a song, like got singing part, screaming part, stuff I got to do, or go turn around to the back at least where stage and amps and stuff are at and puke there. I didn't puke directly on anyone's amp or nothing, luckily, but like right there in the floor. And then I had to go back out, finish the set real quick. No one noticed, though. Somehow no one saw me throw up. Somehow. I mean, there was like at least
That's crazy.
100 people inside this place. I mean, it was like one of those types of shows where it's a small little venue and they just crowd everybody into it. And I just remember, nobody saw until right after we got offset. At the end, this band comes up and is like going to, I guess, grab one of their amps or something, and they step right in it before I can say anything. And he's like, "Oh, I think someone spilt water here." And I said, "No, I puked," and walked away.
You're like, "No, that's not water."
Yeah. What about you, Ken?
It's funny you're saying that, though, because I know I watched an interview and a guy was asking Shane Told from Silverstein. He said, "What was your most embarrassing moment?" And Shane was like, "Damn, man." He was like, "One time I farted," and he was like, "It was really, really bad." And he's like, "I felt fucking terrible for our drummer, because he's obviously Kevin understands this. You're stuck back there. You can't move."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I knew it was going back there." And he's like, "Oh shit." He's like, "That guy's in for a bad day right now."
Yeah.
So since you said that, one of the previous bands I was in called Shudder, we always practiced in my parents' basement. And our singer liked to eat gas station shawarma, which really gave him awful gas. So we were practicing, and like when we practiced, like we had lights and like some fog machines just to kind of like test out different elements and stuff like that. So, we're running through the song, and all of a sudden I see everyone slowly backing away, and Josh is still just screaming and rocking out. And then it hits me like a ton of bricks, dude. It was the worst smell ever. And that song was like a 6-minute song. It was our longest song. Oh, dude, it was terrible. But the most embarrassing one for me, it wasn't an on-stage moment, but we were playing this venue. I think it was somewhere in Ohio, and it was a packed-ass show. And I had the bubble guts really bad, and I went to the bathroom, just destroyed the toilet, and there's no toilet paper. And then there was nobody actually in the bathroom at all, so I couldn't like holler at anyone. I called and texted everybody in the band. Nobody answered, of course. So I sacrificed my boxers. It was kind of an uncomfortable rest of the show because all my other clothes were back at the hotel. But yeah, I would say that was probably my most embarrassing one.
I thought you were gonna say like you crawled under to the next stall or something.
No, I honestly contemplated that, but this venue, the bathroom was absolutely disgusting. I would have literally been crawling through piss, basically.
Yeah.
That wasn't an
option. No, that's not a good idea.
But I gave the rest of the band like a bunch of shit because when I finally got back, they're all at the bar drinking, doing shots and shit. I'm like, any of you guys ever check your phones? And then they check their phones. Like, oh, what's up? What happened? I'm like, well, it's too late now. I already sacrificed my boxers, bro.
All right. Well, I got a few more questions for y'all, and then I'll let y'all go.
For sure.
Let's see. How has your sound evolved over the years? Are there any new directions you were exploring in your recent work?
I would say that, I mean, really the first EP for sure was just kind of experimenting and kind of getting to know each other as musicians and what we all liked and, what kind of overall sound we were really trying to go for. Wasn't too much in our head, I would say. We're just trying to, we got Think of You that's like a pop alternative song, and then we have Like a Devil that's kind of like it's not, death metal or nothing. It's more of like an aggressive, maybe old school Under Oath, type of song. But then we've got World of Confusion and Fall for It. They're a little more active rock with, some heavier elements and breakdowns. The second EP really just tried to dial in, I think, a little bit of that. I used to be just a screamer, and then I started singing. I'd sang before, but not like whole songs that I'd written, myself singing until about 2018. And then from then on, I kind of just became mainly a singer and not as much of a screamer. In this band, we've done a good mix of both, but I think where my heart's at a lot, and just from being on stage, screaming definitely wears your voice out a lot, and then trying to scream and sing on stage and do that on tour, 20 days in a row is rough. So a lot of the music and I think what I listen to personally, I listen to a lot more pop, a lot of alternative and indie rock stuff, and then a lot of the sort of modern metalcore, post-hardcore, octane core as they call it. I listen to a lot of that kind of stuff, which is mainly singing just with heavier instrumentals. And I think that's where a lot of my love is at in general. So it's just naturally what I gravitate towards.
Right.
So I think the Prologue EP was a little more tamed, a little more of a solid sound across the whole thing. On what we're writing right now, we've got about 14 to 15 tracks that we've kind of pre-pro'd out, and we're still writing on, adjusting, and before we take any of that into the studio. And that, I would say, really just developed a lot of what the Prologue is. A lot better production, more elements, a lot more time basically spent on the structure of the song, and just making sure that we went into the studio with half of that stuff and basically would kind of write some of it there. I'd have melodies and maybe some lyrics, but then I would write it and record it immediately and try to get the best takes, which is really hard to do. I mean, you're going to get way better takes and performance and tone if you have practiced it, the song really well. Whether, hopefully you played it live a few times, the song enough to where you can sit down, I got to look at lyrics or anything like that, or think about the melodies. I just know them and can go in and track it. You're going to get way better takes that way. Obviously, time and money wise, it's not always the easiest thing to do. So it's part of stepping back this year was allowing us the time to really hone all that out and define, what Poet the Band sounds like.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have, I guess, as much input on the overall sound to an extent. But every project I had been in prior to this one was really missing those core elements. It was like, let's noodle around and write a song, right? Just because you're a good musician doesn't necessarily mean you're a good songwriter, or just like the organization of the song itself. And when I originally was talking about joining this band, I only had to listen to like 30 seconds of Miss Misery, and I was like, I'm fucking in. I particularly like heavier music, but with that being said, being 37, my body is not built to do like Lorna Shore, like heavy shit, as much as I love it, right? So for me, I like having the ability to write some more technical music from a drumming perspective, or making it a little more difficult than most of the stuff you hear on the radio, I guess would be a better way of putting it. But like engaging, and it doesn't take away from the song. And I like putting out good songs that have some heavy elements to it. But I think with Aiden's vocal capabilities, both singing and screaming, It's really, really good dynamic. And that's kind of like the last band I was in before I joined this band. I was like, I want to do As They Lay Dying-esque with the screams and the cleans, because him and Tim and was it Jordan?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not. I know As Lay Dying.
I thought
decently.
I don't want to get into
that
the whole
much.
Tim Lambesis shit, but like
Yeah, I
the
was
way
gonna
they
say.
complement themselves vocally, I was like, that's what I want in a band. It doesn't have to be that heavy, but I was like, I want to have like that kind of dynamic, right? And you know, I think what we're doing is the best music I've been a part of, and it's just a lot of fun to write. I never thought in a million years I would contribute to lyrics ever, not like in a huge way, just like little shit here and there. And I never thought I would actually get on stage and actually sing, which that was hilarious that I sang part of Think of You on our tour back in July. But it's just kind of opened me up as a musician. When you're surrounding yourself by good musicians, like it brings more out of you. I helped with the acoustic version of Sin Eater, and I know nothing about production. I know nothing about songwriting, but having Matt in there, and he was like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And I'm just spouting out shit that in my head I'm trying to like, I don't know the lingo, right? And he's like, oh,
No, Matt's the bassist, correct?
no, Matt is one of Aiden's good friends. He owns a studio here in Bristol called Audio Oasis.
Yeah, Audio Oasis.
Okay.
Yeah, he does pretty much all of, like, we would produce everything between me and Spencer and Cody, sending every tracks back and stuff. Then Kevin would go and like track on. He has an E-kit and his DAW and VSTs and stuff as well. So he'll kind of track what his parts. It always starts with some type of MIDI drums or something at first. He'll go flesh all those out. Then we would take all that. Spencer would be mixing it. I would then go to a studio. I'd do all my pre-production here, but then I'd go to my friend Matt, his studio, and then actually produce all my vocals, record in his studio, and have him do a lot of like editing and vocal tuning, and then Spencer would take it from there for the mix. What
DAW do you usually use?
Honestly, I mean, I'm using like Reaper right now. I think Kevin's got Studio One. I've got Studio One on here. Spencer was using Pro Tools though to mix, and I've considered upgrading to Pro Tools at some point. I've just
For
used
my
Reaper
older
for a while.
folks here that don't know what a DAW is, it stands for Digital Audio Workstation.
Yep.
So,
Yep. But yeah,
let's
it's
put that
basically
out there for the older folks.
Yeah.
But
Now,
no,
do y'all have-
you can get there.
Do you all have, because I know with like Silverstein, for instance, Shane was talking about, you know, the song My Heroine. He said that he wrote that and it was the only song that, you know, he liked, but everybody else in the band was like, dude, this shit sucks. Like, what the fuck are you writing? Like,
Yeah.
horrible. And he said that they were so close to not releasing that song ever. And he was like, no. He was like, forget what you guys say. I'm releasing it. You can deal with this shit, you know? And he did. And thank God he did, because
True.
I mean, it's one of the greatest songs they've ever made, and probably the most popular one besides Smile in Your Sleep.
I don't think we've ever ran into any instances where the end product, or even halfway through the process of writing a song, where there was any parts of any of us that were like, I'm not really sure about this song.
Right.
But what I will say is we had pretty much like a metric shit ton of demos, and we would kind of sift through them. And with Aiden, you know, writing the doing the vocals and the lyrical writing, kind of just deferred like, hey, you know, do you like this riff? Do you like this chorus? Right. Because he knows, you know, his capability, his voice. We wouldn't expect him to try and hit notes that he knows he can't. Right. And sometimes I think there was a couple songs where you were talking about just changing the tuning to help facilitate with like the vocal shit that you were thinking of. So Aiden spends a hell of a lot of time thinking about what he can do, how he can make the song better. And then like, you know, when I get the demo and I listen to the drums, like Think of You, I think I changed maybe 3 or 4 fills, and that was it. All the program drums, I was like, shit fits. This is easy for me to play. I record it, send it, done. Like a Devil, you know, that one is a lot more of my consciousness. Like, hey, I really want to do this. I think it will drive the song better. So yeah, I mean, it's a collective group effort. And now with it just being mainly Aiden and myself, we are working with John and Justin, who are in Michigan. And they're doing all these festivals with us. They all have a lot of experience with the writing. Oh, hey, what's up, John? They all have a lot of experience with songwriting and stuff too. So with Aiden getting all these demos kind of put together and then working with them, you know, we're really looking forward to the new stuff that we're going to put out. And I think everyone else is going to like it too.
Now, let me ask y'all, how did you come up with the name Poet the Band for one? But then how did you two find each other?
Basically, so our original guitarist, me and Cody had played in a band, Arm the Witness, together before this band. And honestly, Miss Misery and World of Confusion kind of started as potentially Arm the Witness songs. And then that band kind of split up. We decided we wanted to do something brand new. And basically, me and him had wrote those songs, and none of them had been released or anything like that. So then that started really this project. And we worked for a few months without really a name, trying to build it all up and just get some music ready. And I think at some point, we both really liked the word poet. And I like bands like Artist versus Poet and stuff like that. And I think Cody was the one that had brought it up that, you know, he was like, why don't we just go by Poet or Poets? And I think there was a few bands out there called Poets, and there was a couple that like had named Poet, but then it had like a letter or something in it they had done differently. But the biggest problem was that you can't really trademark Poet at all. There's, I think, Poet Entertainment, and a trademark, you can't trademark something that's within the same wheelhouse. So if it's in the entertainment industry, if I was doing blockchain or something, I could maybe trademark Poet in that. But if I'm trying to trademark Poet as entertainment or in music at all, it wasn't going to work. So then that's when Nod had the idea just to add the band into it as the actual part of the name. Because I love, you know, the band Camino or Horse the Band. I was like, so bands have done that before. You know, there's the band. So then we added that in, and it just kind of stuck. I did all the logos from there, and we were able to get our trademark and everything on it. And that's kind of really how it came about. Cody I'd known Spencer slightly just on Facebook, barely interacted, but you know, we're friends on Facebook and knew each other's stuff. Cody had done a small, I think he featured on something with Spencer that Spencer had done. He reached out to Spencer, asked him if he wanted to be a part of this project, because Spencer had asked him to start something together. He showed him Miss Misery, and then Spencer was down. Spencer knew Kevin, so then that's where Spencer brought Kevin in, basically, and they were both up in Detroit. And then, yeah, that's really the rest is history. That's where it kind of all started at.
Well, it was funny because at that point in time, I was in like a country rock group, and it was more so to help my buddy out. I thought the music was okay, but it was missing some stuff, in my opinion. And I was just
this in Tennessee, or this was
this was in Michigan. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure that was a little interesting with the country.
I mean, you got Kid Rock, you know.
Yeah, true.
It was like that kind of stuff. Not like Kid Rock, but it kind of in that vein.
I get what you're saying.
And I was just scrolling through Facebook, and Spencer's name came up, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen him posting anything. I wonder what he's up to. So I hit him up, and I was like, hey, like, what's your band doing? He's like, oh, I'm in this new project now. Let me know what you think. And like I said earlier, I listened to like 30 seconds of Miss Misery, and I was like, I'm fucking in. 2 weeks later, we were in North Carolina shooting the music video for it. So like literally as soon as I heard it, I knew I was 100% fucking in. And yeah, like you said, the rest was history.
Now, is there somewhere that you would either love to play or love to shoot a music video? Whether it be here in the United States or somewhere, you know, overseas, like Australia or, you know, maybe Rio de Janeiro, Brazil or something like that.
So I love the Machine Shop, and I've played there 3 times before. I want to get us back there. I don't care what I have to do. But aside from that, like Red Rocks would be epic as hell to play. As far as shooting a music video, that's tough. I don't have anything particularly in mind, but based on the last Architects music video when they were on that, like, well, it was green screen to an extent, that like oil refinery. When like I think Metallica had one back in the day when they were on a huge like mountainish thing, like in the what's it called? Shit, I'm blanking super hard. I don't know, something like really like kind of theatrical, but like real, not green screened. It was in the Grand Canyon or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Something like just like epic, like they have to fly a helicopter and like do some wild big budget shit. I would love to do that. I don't know what it looks like yet. But yeah, something like that.
Somewhere you can't access by road. You got to take the helicopter, like Jackson, Lord of the Rings style.
Like you have some random little dude just traveling you there.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I watched
what was it, like a lot of the behind the scenes on Lord of the Rings, and when they were like scouting their locations and stuff, they legitimately built roads So they would go, Peter Jackson would go with his crew of like 2 or 3 helicopters, and they would go and fly through New Zealand and scout locations. And then they would, when they found the ones they'd settled on, they physically paid to build dirt roads to those locations so they get their semis and stuff and the trucks for all the equipment. So it's like, yeah, that's something I would like to do, something like that as well. Go somewhere that's you can't just normally access, or shoot in some kind of castle or something would be really cool. Like
awesome.
you said, I can do green screen stuff, but I love shooting things naturally and cinematic, that I'm not having to do an insane amount of post editing, things that just look really, really cinematic to begin with.
It's funny you say these roads because I went on vacation one year to Jamaica. And I remember we flew into the airport and we were going from the airport to Ocho Rios. And our driver would drive so fucking fast. And like me and my mom are like sitting there in this car, just like shaking. And like there's probably 15 people that are going to our resort and they're all like telling him to slow down. He's like, I know the roads. And we're like, they're like this damn thin. And off of it, and there's a huge hill. And I'm like, well, we're dying if we go off of this shit. And surely enough, he knew what the hell he was doing. But God, it was nerve wracking. As soon as we got there, I was like, damn, I'm glad we're here. And then
they don't even have like road rage. It's just controlled chaos. When I was in Mexico for spring break, we were taking the taxi to like a club or whatever, and dude was just driving absolutely insane. And like, I like sports cars. I've been in fast cars, but like it's like the margin of error they have is like so minute, and they just like send it. It's like, oh my God.
Right. And it's terrifying.
Yeah, no, I agree. That sounds like a recurring dream that I have all the time. So, okay, it pops up every month or two. I'll have a dream where I'm going through something just like that, where somebody else is driving, and it's just a huge drop off, definitely into your life if you go over it.
You actually just gave me a good question right there because you said dream.
I was really going to comment on this too. Go ahead.
Have you ever had like a dream that you took and you turned it into lyrics or a song? In my old band, Arm the Witness, which had actually started as a song from a band called Kings that we did with a song called Newborn from our band Kings that we did with Drew Folk. And basically there was a dream I had that was kind of like an out-of-body experience at the same time. But I remember in my old bedroom, I didn't have a door, so I had a blanket that was covering this door essentially. And there's no drafts in the house because at this point, we had covered every window with plastic and stuff during the winter. It's what you do in the South when you ain't got central air and heat. You got kerosene heaters. You got plastic on all your windows. And so in this dream, I basically had my bed here on the floor that I laid on, and then I had this couch over on this side. And in my dream, I basically come out of my body and sit on this couch, and I look at myself on the bed, and what looks like a Dementor from Harry Potter or something over top of my body floating. Like some sleep
wispy blackness, basically. And it scared me in that dream, and I woke up immediately, came right back into my body. But when I woke up, I literally saw this blanket that was at my door, like sort of blow open a little bit. Not like crazy. The whole thing didn't blow open, but just enough where it looked like somebody had walked out of there. And like I said, there's no drafts in the house at this point because we've covered everything up possible with plastic to keep it warm. Right. So then, I don't know, that, the lyric came to me, though, at that point. I stayed up literally until sunset. I was so scared at like 15 years old. I didn't know what I had experienced. I thought it was a ghost or something paranormal there, a demon or something. And I just remember the lyric came to me, laying awake, paralyzed. I feel the demons at my door. Come one, come all, the walls will fall. You got something to say, well, come on. And I remember just repeating those lines. If you got something to say, well, come on. In my head, in this bedroom, just waiting for this thing literally over and over until the sun finally rose and I was brave enough to actually get up, walk out of my room. And that ended up being the exact lyrics that I put into right before breakdown in that song Newborn, like I said, kind of direct correlation from what I experienced there.
Well, gentlemen, I think that's all the questions I have. I really do appreciate y'all's time. We've gone about an hour and 20 minutes, and I appreciate that album.
Of course.
I would love to stay in contact with both of y'all and later down the road get another interview,
Yeah, let's do it,
for sure, man.
And whatnot. And one last thing before I cut it off of here, I have scheduled for next Saturday, we got Verkari on here, the great band. On February the 22nd, I got your friends Dinosaurs in Paris.
Hell yeah.
On Friday, February 28th, we got Water Culture. On March 1st, we got With Sales Ahead. And on March 8th, we got Grapevine Gossip.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank
Those are
you,
gonna be awesome.
gentlemen.
We're going to tune in ourselves on those and check everything out. Check all the bands out.
Yes, sir. And I apologize on the technical difficulties, but I really do appreciate y'all walking me through and helping me out to get on here.
No worries,
Yeah, no
man.
problem, man. Want to make sure, if I can help you out anyway, that's how me and Kevin are. We try to help everybody out wherever we can.
Yes, sir. Y'all keep kicking ass and have a blessed day, man. It's
All right,
been
thank
wonderful.
you. Yeah, you as well, man.
See ya.
Peace.